Hi, I'm Julie Levinsky, Manager for the Web Production and Social Media, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's Dr. Dan Web Chat. Today, Dr. Dan will be talking about independence and dependency and what that means to us. He's also put up some poll right now, and he'll have other open-ended questions. So if everybody's on the web portion, if they could please write your answers in, responses in, that would be a big help and guide our conversation. You also may ask your questions using our chat box if you're on the web portion, or you may also speak whenever we ask for questions. To mute your phone line is *6. To unmute is press *6 again to unmute. So I want to, again, thank you everybody for showing up today. I appreciate it, especially with the short holiday week. And I'm looking forward to speaking with Dr. Dan. So I am going to hand it over to him now. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Julie. How are you?
Doing very well today, thank you.
It's been a while since we've chatted. And I have to tell you, what triggers this, of course, is the holiday weekend coming up and how we as a nation pride ourselves on our, quote, independence. And that's what we're supposed to be all about, but it's really an illusion. We're really not independent. No country is and no person is. But, it triggers great big emotions when we begin to lose our feelings of independence. So, we need to talk about that because anyone with a disability experiences a loss of independence. So do their caregivers. And, it's like my conversation here, if you can read it, Julie, with Ellen here when she's concerned about her husband. He was apparently a low-level para, and as he ages now, he gets worse, and he's losing more and more of his independence. I've got, the same thing's happening to me, Julie. I'm a C5-6. I always was closer to 6-7, but now as I age, I'm losing some of that, and I'm losing my independence. I'm more dependent on my nurses. In the old days, I would get in my van and drive and go get whatever I wanted. And now I don't. I don't drive anymore. I don't feel safe driving. And I even need help now going into stores because I can't get my wallet out so well and my credit cards. So, I'm losing my independence. And, Ellen referred to her husband and her concern, Julie, about his depression. And, I talked about sadness. And there's a difference between sadness and depression. And I have to say, I've got to be quite candid here. I'm sad. I'm sad about my losses of independence. But it's a sadness. It's not a depression, and it doesn't interfere with the quality of my life. It doesn't even interfere with the joy of my life. It's a sadness. It's it's one of the songs playing in the background, and I can click on that song, or other songs will come up. But we value our independence, and we fear our dependency. You look to older people, and their great fears is losing their independence, understandably. So I think, Julie, we need to unpack this thing. And what is it? What do we lose? How do we cope with it? And what's so scary about dependency anyway? So there's a lot here that we need to talk about. And like we do every month, Julie, I make you the guinea pig, and you seem to go along with it with me. You don't hate me for doing that yet. So I'm going to make you my guinea pig, if that's okay. I just...
No, I'm here. It's okay.
Oh.
I'm up for guinea pig anytime. Only for you, Dan.
So, Julie, what does independence mean to you? You thought about it.
I have. It's the freedom to make my own choices. It's the ability to do things on my own without assistance from others. So I think it's both a physical and a mental idea in my head.
Aha. So what's the physical part?
Physical is like you were explaining about how it's hard for you to go shopping because to get out your wallet. So you're feeling restraint. So physically, I don't want to feel restrained in something that I can't do on my own. That I feel is more simpler tasks that I may need somebody's help with. But I feel like I am asking something above and beyond what I should be of others.
Yeah, above and beyond. What do you mean?
No, I don't want to use the word burden. It's not a burden. It's just an interruption of the other person's time or what they're doing.
Well, I'm not so sure that's the wrong word. Because that's everybody's fear, right? They don't want to burden their family. They don't want to burden their friends, you know? Or they don't want to become a burden. So that's the great nightmare. Listen, I got a question, Julie, a technical question. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so I put this great poll in. 10 people have responded. I have no idea how to read the responses.
Okay, so on your screen, you don't see the poll results.
I do on the far right, but I can't now. I don't. I just see. Can't even read a whole sentence.
Yeah, there's a little scroll bar.
Yeah, I can't. Nope. I can't. I see 10 people have responded, and I can only see one response.
Okay, let me see what I can do.
All right, so while Julie's working on that, speaking of dependency, being of a certain age, I'm more dependent on people to get me through this technology. That I don't mind. So, I talked about me being more dependent than I was. And when I suffered most with it? I suffered most when I fought against it. I suffered when I felt I was wrong or weak or less than. Or like Julie said, when I was a burden to others, when I was feeling I lost something I should have or I should be different than I am. And in many respects, I've stopped doing that. I've stopped fighting. I feel a kind of openness to being who I am. More dependent than I want to be, less dependent than many in this world. But really all I care about now is happiness, well-being, and beauty, and love. And, my ability to get my wallet out of my pouch has nothing to do with any of those things. Driving and giving up driving is a loss. I don't want to minimize that. It's a great loss. And it's a loss of not just independence, but some privacy. It's like I want to go to the store I want to go to, and I want to stay as long as I want to stay. So it is a loss, but not just I don't fight it anymore. So that's who I am. It doesn't interfere with what's most important to me, and that's like I said, that's love and beauty. So I'm thinking out loud here that the problem with losing independence is fighting against who we are, or fighting with ourselves when we become more of who we are. That's always the case. That's always the source of suffering, isn't it? That we feel we should be different than we are, or that we're not good enough, or we're too dependent, or we're too crippled, or we're too tied down to our loved ones, or even we're too tied down to our spouses or our parents, and you're just fighting against the truth of our lives is a source of a great deal of suffering. I wonder, well, let me talk here to Ellen. Said that she'd be able to join us by phone. I sure hope he is on the phone. Ellen, can you, if you can hear me, please pick up the phone and we can chat a bit about you and your husband. Unless do we have anybody on the phone here that's ready to chat with us, Julie?
If you're on your phone, you may, and you have a question, go ahead. And that *6, if you're muted, *6 to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi.
Okay. Hi, this is Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
Hey, Ellen.
Hi. Thank you.
So, tell me your story about your husband and you.
Well, we were on. I'll be brief. I'll try to be brief. We were on vacation in Puerto Rico 2.5 years ago with our family, and John was running on the beach. And to cool off, he went into the water, and a large wave came. He hit him from behind, and he was knocked upside down. He was lifted upside down, knocked on his head, and he was paralyzed at that point with an injury C3, 4, 5, and 6, and had surgery in Puerto Rico. Slowly but surely, he started to regain some feeling in his extremities, and now, 2.5 years out, he is able to walk and he is able to drive. He's an attorney, so everything, the thought processes were perfect from the neck up, and so we're very fortunate. However, he is not happy about his situation, and our family is kind of not in a good place right now, and which is one of the reasons why I'm kind of reaching out to the Reeve Foundation.
What do you mean not happy? What's going on?
Well, he spends a great deal of time. He's in a lot of pain, and he works with doctors, and he's in a lot of pain with, especially with his feet and toes. He's cold all the time. He opted to move to Florida for 4 months, and next year it's going to be 6 months out of the year. We're in Ohio, and it's very cold here during the winter. So
You said, let me stop you there a minute.
Yeah.
You said he opted to move to Florida.
Yes.
What about you?
Well, I work, and it's really not an option. He's able to work from Florida. I'm a school principal, and I'm not able to do that. And our health care is through me. And I don't want to quit my job at this point. I think it's vital that I have a job. I enjoy my job. So that was a difficult thing. So he's back now, obviously, because the summers are beautiful in Ohio. And He spent a lot of time dealing with his pain and trying to, he meditates, he does yoga, and oftentimes he doesn't come downstairs until 1 or 2 in the afternoon, because he goes through his whole yoga meditation to try to de-stress and get out of pain. And but meanwhile, he's also, oftentimes he's conducting business while he's on, on the phone, whatever. But when our family is here on weekends, it's hard for our kids, who are grown, they're adults, but it's hard for our kids to not be cared for, so to speak. I mean, he cares, but his needs come first, and understandably so at this point. But
what does he want? What do you want?
What does he want? I think he wants to be cared about. He verbalizes that quite frequently. He wants to be cared about, and he feels as though we don't care about him. I turned on the air conditioning in the house, and he gets very cold very easily, and so we don't typically turn on the air conditioning. But when we have company, I turned on the air conditioning, and he didn't join us because it was too cold for him to join us. I demonstrated by doing that I didn't care about him. Those are the kinds of things that I would like some kind of a happy medium for, and the children would like that as well. Our grandson, we have a grandson, and his dad lives here. His dad and our grandson's dad, our son, and his mom split up, and so our son moved back here, which is really, to be honest with you, has been a help for me, especially with John gone for 4 months, because he helps me, with the house and doing work around here. So he's a paralegal, so he works in my husband's office. But
let me.
Yeah, go. I'm talking. I'm sorry. Go. You talk.
That's fine. That's fine. So here's what happens. When you break your neck, it doesn't change your personality.
Right.
You are who you are. You are who you've been, only more so. And the same thing with you. And if there are issues in the marriage before all this happens, those issues don't get better. They get worse. And I know that from my own marriage. Somehow things that were very comfortable, swept under the carpet before, somehow grow and that carpet goes away. So, that's one thing, and we have to look at the overall context. But if you can give me a minute to channel your husband from what I know, and if I am your husband's deepest truth,
yes,
I might say something like, I'm scared, I'm angry, but I'm living with.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that nobody in the world understands me or has experienced what I'm experiencing. I feel so profoundly alone, misunderstood, and I'm in pain. I don't know about my future. I'm not even sure I want one. I am in so much pain that my heart is closed to everyone, including myself, and I feel people not caring about me, not loving me. So that might be his truth. And if I can channel his wife, her truth might be something like, I'm beyond exhausted. I've done everything I could. I feel alone and abandoned too. The way our marriage was, the way we both had expected it, is gone. It's in ashes now. And I feel alone in this marriage. I don't know what to do or where to go. And I don't know how to love you any better than I do, and I'm exhausted.
Okay, that's perfect. On both parts, I think that you've channeled both of us with 100% accuracy.
Yeah. Well, I've studied humanity for a long time because after a great deal of work, I've discovered that I am one. And so I know these are all very, very human emotions. You guys both exhausted. And now at this point, after 2.5 years, the shock is beginning to wear off. And there's a critical point that I've experienced with every one of my traumas. There's a point where you wake up in the morning and you say, holy crap, what now? What am I going to do now with this life? And it sounds like you're both there. And and I don't want you guys to talk about the damn air conditioner. I'd like to see the two of you, ideally with a counselor, but the two of you, talk about your lives. Your marriage. How your hearts, how your respective hearts are broken. And one of you, it doesn't matter which one of you has to listen first and just be quiet for a long time and listen. Don't try to fix it or jump in or get defensive. And I'm saying that to you, and I would say it to him.
Yes. Well, I have been seeing a psychologist for about 5 months. No, longer, almost a year now actually, because, after the accident, the doctors said, even when we came back we had to stay in Puerto Rico for a month until he was stable enough to travel, and their doctors and then the Cleveland Clinic doctors agreed that, he'd be 99% in a year, maybe a year and a half. And when we saw that wasn't happening, I think that's when our grieving started, was a year ago, because we just had anticipated that he would be 99%. And so I've been seeing a counselor, and John came with me, or a psychologist, and John came with me last year before he went to Florida. And then, he goes from 0 to 100 in terms of anger, and that this is new. He was never like this, never, ever, prior to the accident. And what you said about problems prior to the accident in terms of our marriage being swept under the carpet is dead on. The anger, though, was never part of our marriage, and his doctor at the clinic said that he felt he was depressed, and that depression is, of all the things to have to deal with, that's probably the simplest thing to deal with. Although,
Who said that?
Well, simple in terms of there are physicians who are well versed in dealing with this, and go see somebody, and they had made an appointment for him, and he didn't go. He'll come with me to my psychologist, but he will not go to one on his own.
You know what? If research shows, and I don't want to spend too much time here, with all due respect, because other people want to join the conversation. But the research shows, and I learned this in my family therapy training. The research shows that if there is discord in a marriage, oftentimes if both parties go to different therapists, it can make it worse.
Really?
Yeah, because you're going to be talking about him, talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
You're both going to get support for your own, and make your lives better is when you don't hold on to your own perspectives.
interesting point. I appreciate that. And I am sorry I've taken up way too much time, and I'm sure that other people have want your attention as well. So I apologize for monopolizing. But I certainly appreciate this. Thank you so very, very much.
No need to apologize. Just make a $1,000 contribution to the Christopher E. Foundation.
We're working on it. Well, I'm going to continue listening, though, right?
Please, please take care and send my best to your husband.
I will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, I saw while we were talking to Ellen that somebody had their hand up and wanted to talk some more. So if there is somebody.
I believe
is there,
Jeff.
Joy?
I thought Jeff did. No, that is Angela.
Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Angela Alexander has her hand raised. Can you join us, Angela? No, I don't. Can you help us there, Joel?
Yeah, Angela, if you are unable to speak, would you please put your ask a question in the chat box? Type in the chat box.
We've got.
I also see Candace has her hand raised.
Yeah.
Candace, are you able to?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Julie?
I can hear you. Yeah, thanks.
I can hear you well.
Yay, thanks. Yeah, thanks, you guys. I'm on the phone, but I also have my computer on, and I thought that's probably the way you'll see me, is if I raise my hand. So that was perfect. And, listening to Ellen, there's quite a bit that I can resonate with, and I had one thing I wanted to give a shout out about was the peer mentoring that goes on with the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation, and that could be also an outlet for both she and her husband to be able to connect and maybe voice some of those feelings. And I personally have gotten some really great benefit for myself in the 40 years that I've been using my wheelchair due to a spinal cord injury, from being able to speak with people like yourself, Dr. Dan, and other people with spinal cord injuries and not feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, as I said, I've been using a wheelchair for 40 years, and I had a spinal cord injury that made me a low paraplegic, and so I've been very independent, and I've also had some injuries that I've had surgeries and stuff. But right now, I'm dealing with a broken leg that I have to have a long leg cast on and use a wheelchair where my leg is elevated, so I can't drive, I can't get on the toilet, I can't take a shower. There's much I can't do to be able to get food and things like that, and I'm struggling with that loss of independence that
What do you mean by struggling? What do you mean by struggling?
What I mean by struggling is it's just, I think it's not acceptance of it, and it feels like surrender to it, just be with it, go with the flow of it. But I feel like I'm not safe. I feel like I'm not safe. That's the feeling I have. Is because people, that are helping me, we have to figure everything out, and so I'm always worried that we're not going to do it right, or even with the doctors, that they'll miss something, and so I feel unsafe. I'm worried. I'm worried that I'll get hurt more.
All right. Well, if you've got this thing floating around in your head called, for lack of a better word, hell, right? You've got this dark area that you're worried about that will happen. And for lack of a better word, we'll call it hell, okay?
Okay.
Fair enough, Candace?
Fair enough, because it does feel like that a lot.
I invite you right now. Let's go to hell. Okay? So
Okay.
tell me the nightmare. Put some flesh on the bones here.
The nightmare is that I can never get back to what I was. That's the nightmare. That I can never get back to what my freedom and independence was. And that as I continue to get more hurt, I'm more dependent on other people helping me.
Okay. Let's stay there a minute, okay? And
okay.
Instead of running away from hell out of fear, let's just you and I sit there for a minute, right where it's darkest. And let's say that happens. We don't know, right? We have no idea. And our predictive skills are terrible. But
right.
Let's say that happens. That you do lose function, that you're not able to get back to where you are. So like I suggested when I was talking with Ellen, now what? Now what? Now what is your life going to look like? What do you want your life to be like now, with Candace being more dependent than she was? Make your life now.
Well, my life now is more dependent. It doesn't feel, this hell feels like that I have no control. And
which is a trick your brain is playing on you, right? I understand you feel like you have no control, but that's not true.
Right,
that's your brain on trauma. But I want to know this, Candace, more important. Could you imagine, with your body as it is today, could you imagine finding joy in your life, happiness, love, with your body as it is today?
Well, yes, I can. Even though there's a part of me that I don't want to. Because I don't want to be like this. So I can imagine it, but there's also this piece of it. I don't want to imagine it because I don't want it to happen.
I got to tell you something. I was at my ex-wife's funeral. She left me 10 years after the accident. And she died about 5 years later. And, you know, I still loved her. She loved me till the very end. We just couldn't be married. We were both too crazy, post-accident. So I'm at her funeral. There's not a lot of place for an ex-spouse to grieve. And my daughters, who were in their early 20s, were with their future husbands and boyfriends at the graveside. And I leave that, and it's after my accident. It's right after my mother died, and my sister had been diagnosed with a terminal illness. And I'm traversing over the grass in my motorized wheelchair, and I see my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and father-in-law sobbing. I see my daughters in another, one of those cars crying on their boyfriend's husband's shoulders. And I look to the heavens and I say, God, I can't take any more pain. And the voice back said, sure you can, Dan. You just don't want to. And I said, shit, that's what I meant to say.
Yep. I get it. I guess
you can take more pain. You just don't want to. But
I know.
I hate to tell you this, Candace. I have not found a negotiating partner yet on that score. You know.
Yeah, Dr. Dan, I'm
Yeah,
with you. I grasped
really.
it. I believe that I'm moving through it, that place of, dang nabbit, I don't want this, but
yeah. Christopher Reeve said in his autobiography something to the effect of he would take the first 20 minutes of every day for self-pity. And then he was done. No, self-pity is fine, you know? Fine. It's a stage. We can feel sorry for ourselves. I mean, you know, it's like eating a candy bar when you're really hungry.
And thank you for sharing that with me, because I'm going to take that task on.
Yeah.
I believe that is definitely something that will smooth me out.
I'm going to tell you something, Candace. Over the last week or so, I've gotten to know you better on a personal level, and I just want to tell you, as a new friend, your answer, that telling me that you could experience yourself as having joy, happiness, and love with your body and your life just the way it is today, that made me happy. Because that's all I really care about with anybody I care about, even and strangers, you know?
Yeah, I do know. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. Because for me, knowing that from you, and also knowing it in my own heart and also from other people, it brings me back to the moment that is really all we have, and to stay in, and to try to be in that space the best we can with what we have, and I appreciate this time with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. You're a good little human. I just have a feeling everybody I'm hanging out with tonight are also good little humans. But
you're a good little human too. So Julie.
All right, honey.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Blessings.
So let me read. Julie, I'm going to try to catch up to you, okay? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was answering some other chatting going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I saw, so I want to catch up with you. So Angela Alexander, she's still here. Not very tech savvy. Couldn't type quickly. I want to tell you that tell that woman that Florida needs help with their school systems also. Well, that's true. I don't know who doesn't in this country.
And
every state.
Also, before that, Adrian had some pretty good comments.
Would they scroll higher up?
Yeah, you want to scroll higher up. He's been a paraplegic since 2006, and he hates that he needs help using the restroom and other things. And he was relating to when I was mentioning that I didn't want to, ask for help because feeling like a burden, and that's how he feels right now with his family helping him all the time.
Feels like a burden. Sometimes I do too, Julian, or I'll say it to Adrian. I learned a very powerful lesson right after my accident. That I was in ICU, and all I wanted to do was close my eyes and never wake up again. And then I hear a nurse, I was in a halo vest, so I couldn't turn and see, ask if she could talk to me. I was feeling such great despair, and I was feeling unlovable and like a worthless human being. He asked if she could talk to me about some great loss in her life. And I forget the details, but like me, she was devastated and didn't know if she could live or wanted to live. And I listened quietly, and I knew exactly what she was feeling, because that's what I was feeling. And while she was talking to me, she didn't care about my paralysis, lack of sensation. She didn't care about catheters or IVs or halo vests. She just wanted me to help her, or listen to her, understand her. And I did, and she knew that I did. And at the end, she thanked me. And I closed my eyes and I said, I can live with this now, because I am able to help another human being. We are hardwired, it's in our DNA, to want to help other human beings. Those who are of service to others tend to be happier and have more well-being. So when you ask someone for help, giving them a gift. You know, I've asked my grandson for help when he was 6 years old. It was so meaningful to him. So yeah, we feel like a burden. I was in Europe. I took a cruise in Europe with another couple and Joan, my companion. And the cobblestones, you can imagine, just terrible, terrible. And there was many places I got halfway there and I just couldn't go anymore. And I sent Joan and the other couple on to see the rest. And I felt in those moments like a burden to her and to them. And, you know, I spoke to them after they got back just about this. And they reassured me that I'm really not. That it's a pleasure caring for someone who's open and receptive like this. So sometimes we feel like a burden, but you've got to clarify there's a difference between feeling like a burden to us and feeling like a burden to others. And those words can change someone's life. Please help me. You look someone in the eye, say those three words. They're hard to say, but you say those three words and it will open their heart. And that's what we all want in life, is our hearts to be open, and our arms to be open, and our lives to be open. And that happens consistently when you look someone in the eye and say those three words. Yeah, we feel like a burden because we live in this culture, because we have learned the way we're supposed to be and the way we're supposed to act, and we learn it very well. So we feel like a burden. We all do, or most of us do. But that doesn't mean we are a burden.
This is important. I hope Jesse just typed in a question. How can I deal with my parents who still treat me like I'm fragile and 2 years old now that I have SCI? It's like they think I can't do anything for myself anymore, even though I can.
Yeah. So, Jesse, I hope you can hear me, but it is a problem. It's, you know, I was talking to Candace, and, you know, I used the phrase, this is your brain on trauma. Well, you know, you are not the only one who have been traumatized. They have been traumatized also. And it's not that what they're doing is right or helpful, but they're acting out of trauma, out of fear. And yes, it's interfering with your own growth. You know, Jeff Binkley mentioned here that his wife left him after 25 years, and he found that he was more independent. And my wife left me after 10, and I was terrified. And but after that, I became more independent. So, we don't want our lives managed like that. Nobody does. They wouldn't like it managed like that. So I don't know if you're able to have an honest conversation with them about what you really want from them. And I hope the answer there is not nothing. You do want their help in some respects. You do want their understanding. But, it would be helpful if you tell them what hurts you. And, it would also, if you're going to be an adult child here, you could ask them also what they need and what would be helpful for them to help them feel better in their lives and feel better with a daughter who is I don't know, you didn't say whether your level of injury, whether you're paraplegic or quadriplegic. I want to tell you on a personal note, my parents never recovered. I was 33 years old. My mother lived for until 1998. So she lived for over 15 years.
For a couple hours.
I'm just going to remind everybody on the phone if they could please press *6 to mute your lines. We're getting some background noise.
All right. So, my parents never recovered. They and I was a successful psychologist by then. I had my radio show. I had published one book before my mother died, and I was happy. I was in another loving relationship, and I was doing well. I was well loved, and I loved a lot of people, and all my mother could see was the wheelchair. My father too, to a large extent. And it really broke my heart for them that they never recovered, and it still does as I speak now. So tell them how they can best help you, and tell them what they do that harms you feel harms you. But have that discussion on the other side too. Listen to them as they talk about their difficulties, if they can, if they will. So, have an open, honest, and intimate conversation. It almost always helps. I hope you can have that conversation, Jesse. I know this feels awful. So, what am I missing here, Julie?
I think you may have answered everybody's questions. Is there anybody on the phone line that would like to have a question?
Somebody's there. Hello?
I don't know if you can still hear me. This is Ellen.
Hi.
This is the first time I've ever attended one of these and listened to Dr. Dan and to the other folks who called in. I don't have a question. I just have a comment, and that is this has been truly, truly helpful. And I wanted to also say that I did just get a peer mentor, and met with them once, and that too was helpful, and I'm looking forward to more exchanges. And I just want to say thank you to the Reeve Foundation, to all of you for doing this for us. So thank you.
Ellen, it's a labor of love, and I also want to encourage many of you, and Julie, you suggested this too, many of you, please become a mentor. That can change your lives for the better. I talked earlier about the value of caring for others. Boy, you can do that. It's just so
sure.
helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I strongly encourage. Ellen, I appreciate your call. I appreciate your comments, and I'm so glad you got what you did out of this. And join us. We're here every month.
I'm going to. I absolutely am going to. So thank you. Thank you very much.
And listen, I'm on the Christopher Reeve webpage every week. So No,
Okay.
I'm on healing the heart and mind.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly going to take your suggestions and start working with them and with John and with my psychologist as well. So I appreciate that. I do. You've given me a direction. I felt like I was floundering. Now I've got a direction.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Jesse also said thank you as well. And I think what makes these calls successful is everybody, either chatting, asking a question in the chat box, or actually talking. So I really appreciate Ellen and Candace and Jesse and Aiden, Adrienne and Angela and Jeff for all asking questions, because it's a lot of it too is for me is listening to other people's concerns, because it helps to know that I'm not alone.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, Julie, you posted up here about that I'm going to be online every Wednesday from 3 to 4. I got to get my picture changed. I actually look bald in that picture. This is not good.
I took it away. I took the slide away and put up your last whole question.
Honestly, I'm really, because the truth of the matter is I look more like Denzel Washington than that. So, I don't know who photoshopped my original picture.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And Julie, thanks for doing the moderating. It's always helpful to have someone who jumps right in there, so thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Julie's terrific, and she lets me use her as a guinea pig every month. I'm grateful for that, Julie.
Very good.
Julie?
Yes.
Happy Independence Day.
So we might have time for a quick question or comment, if anybody has one.
Comment.
Jeff, do you have your hand raised? Do you have something?
I have a comment.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I just wanted to let you know that I became paralyzed from the chest down. I'm a C5 complete about 2.5 years ago. And right before Thanksgiving, my wife of 25 years left me, and I was close to suicide. And my daughter told me she said, "Dad, you need to go live with Grandma and Grandpa, and you need to start thinking positive." So I moved in with my parents and woke up the next day thinking positive, and I've never looked back since. And I started a group, a spinal cord injury support group in Decatur, Illinois, and it's taken off wonderful. I mean, so you can make something good come out of what's happened bad to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you sure can. And but in addition to that, and this comment will I'd like to telegraph to Jesse's parents that part of what turned things around for you was when you listened to your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, Jesse, tell your parents that story. Their lives can improve when they listen to their kids.
Right.
Don't anybody dare tell my kids that. I'll disavow knowledge. Okay.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Just to say quickly, Angela said in order to be a mentor, you would have to be able to drive. That's not true, Angela. You can do everything from your house, from your computer. So please check it out.
Yes, they do have online virtual trainings as well to become a certified peer mentor. so you definitely want to go to christopherreeve.org/peer, and you can get all the information there.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, I really want to thank everybody who joined this conversation. It's really rich. And we'll be back in August.
Okay.
Yes, please. This also is being recorded, so you can go back and listen to this as well. And that will be at christopherreeve.org/webcasts, and as well as all of our other webinars are there. And also, you can look on our homepage when Dr. Dan's next web chat will be. It will be usually the first Wednesday of the month. So I'll put that up shortly. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I hope you have a great holiday weekend. And I know that a lot of things that Dan said today I will be definitely using this weekend to see how they go.
Have a great time, Drew. Great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.